Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Got some guests lined up over the next 2 hours as usual. Glenn West of Go 24/7 with us in 30 minutes. He was out of practice today and has been interviewing some of the players today. Garrett Nussmeier stopped by. Sounds like Deuce Chestnut as well. So we'll chat with Glenn West about his thoughts on LSU camp over the last week since we last spoke with him. Matt McMahon, LSU head basketball coach, going to stop by at the top of hour number 2. Straight up 2 o'clock for Coach McMahon, talking about their trip to the Bahamas. Excited to catch up with Coach McMahon. We'll meet the freshmen in hour number 2 with Deshaun Womack and Zalance Hurd. That'll be it. That is the end of Meet the Freshmen. That was the last 2 that we have not gotten to. And then Sharif Ishak from Saints camp at 2:30. The Saints will work out tonight down at the facility in Metairie, and then they will fly out to L.A. to get ready for some joint practices with the Chargers before Sunday's preseason game that'll kick off Sunday evening. So a lot of fun over the next 2 hours here on the Hunt Palmer Show. ESPN came out with a list today. It's list season, isn't it? And I thought it was fascinating for a few reasons. It's the top 100 players in college football entering the 2023 season. And there's some LSU flavor. There's some LSU opponent flavor. There are some quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. And I thought that it was interesting to go in and see where LSU's guys were and kind of what awaits this football program in 2023. I'll breeze through the top 10 here for you. Just to give you a look at the top 10 players in college football. 2 of them we'll see pretty quickly. Caleb Williams is number 1, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, quarterback out at Southern Cal. We know him. Brock Bowers, tight end at Georgia, had a pretty good 2-year run there in Athens. He's number 2. Marvin Harrison Jr., widely thought of as the number 1 receiver in the country out of Ohio State. He is number 3 on the list. Then your boy Harold Perkins from here in Baton Rouge is number 4 on the list of top 100 players in college football. Drake May, quarterback North Carolina at 5. Michael Penix Jr., quarterback at Washington, 6. Blake Cronin, the Michigan running back, Corum at 7. Then 8 and 9, get ready. Jordan Travis and Jared Verse, Florida State quarterback, Florida State edge rusher. They are numbers 8 and 9 on this list before you get to Michael Wilson, a Georgia edge rusher. Those are the top 10 players in college football. So when we get out to the stadium in Orlando and they're getting ready to kick it off that Sunday before Labor Day, 3 of the top 10 players in the country will be on the field. Harold Perkins at number 4, Jordan Travis at number 8, and Jared Verse at number 9. Let me fill out the rest of the Florida State and LSU members of this list. Jaden Daniels comes in at number 15. I think that's a lot of respect for Jaden Daniels, and it makes a lot of sense. Figure he's the best quarterback in the SEC, as voted on by the media, been a starting quarterback in college football for 4 years. I think top 15 makes a lot of sense. Malik Neighbors is on this list for LSU. He's next at number 37 for the Tiger wide receiver. And Mason Smith comes in at number 79 on this list. So for LSU, Harold Perkins at 4, Jaden Daniels at 15, Malik Neighbors at 37, and Mason Smith at 79. Thought Will Campbell might make the list. He did not. Thought Mekhi Wingo could make the list. He did not. Outside chance maybe Emory Jones. He did not. But LSU has 4 representatives. I mentioned when I was rattling off the top 10 that Jordan Travis and Jared Verse were 8 and 9 respectively on this list. Well, you got to add to the equation Fintrell Cypress at number 65. He's a cornerback transfer from Virginia. Johnny Wilson, wide receiver, is at 61. Big 6'7" frame. He was on the team last year. Freakish skill set. And his partner in crime on the outside, Keon Coleman, is at number 86. So we've talked about this LSU secondary. Here come 2 top 100 players in college football, 2 top 86 players in college football. We're looking at this list, and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. in game one. Also, Trey Benson, the running back from Florida State, is at number 68. So Florida State represented with 6 players in the top 100 of this list. Jordan Travis, Jared Verse in the top 10. Johnny Wilson, 61. Ventrell Cypress, 65. Trey Benson, 68. And Keon Coleman, 86. Florida State has gone through it the last decade. Really plus. It bottomed out there when Jimbo left, and it wasn't in good shape as he was leaving. And they went through a couple of real rough patches there. I don't know that the Willie Taggart era will be looked on super fondly in Tallahassee. But because of the transfer portal, and because for whatever reason, Jared Verse decided to come back, and then Jordan Travis said, I'll do it as well, they've got some real high-end talent on this roster. They've done an excellent job in the transfer portal. I mean, look, you got Trey Benson, Jared Verse, Ventrell Cypress. These are transfers they brought in. Of course, with LSU, Jaden Daniels, the transfer. But the high-end talent on this Florida State roster is real. It's draftable. It's been productive at the college level. Jordan Travis been a really good college quarterback. Jared Verse had a monster year last year. Johnny Wilson had a big season last year. Trey Benson was pushing 1,000 yards last year. This is not projectability. This is guys that have done things. I still think 1 to 45, LSU's probably got more talent. But you look at the guys that are catching every snap, Jaden Daniels at 15, Jordan Travis at 8. You look at the guys attacking on every snap, Harold Perkins at 4, Jared Verse at 9. You look at the number 1 wide receiver, Malik Neighbors at 37, Johnny Wilson at 61. It's kind of what and what. It just lends more credence when you put preseason award watch lists and you put preseason all-conference and you put preseason polls in this type of list, and you all of a sudden look up and go, this is a massive football game. Massive. And I will probably say that tomorrow or Friday. I will probably say it twice next week, and the following week I'll probably say it 11 times in 5 days. And then I'll do the pregame show, and I'll probably do it another 4 times then, and then I'll do the postgame show, and I'll probably do it another 7 times then in an hour. This is massive for these two teams. And I'll concede something up front here. Big picture, I prefer the expanded playoff. We've talked about that a million times. I don't want everyone's dreams to be dashed on October 10th. There's still more than a month and a half of the season to go. Let's try to ramp it up and find something. But if you've got 2 losses, forget it. That's the case right now. It won't be when they expand the playoffs. But I'll concede, before this game is played, man, does it place way more importance on this game. Man, does it ramp up the energy level more for this game. Because if you were in an expanded playoff, this would be a really fun game. It would be a big game. But the loser could just grab the shoulder pads and go, all right, we're fine. We played with them. Let's correct some things. The loser on Labor Day is in big trouble for their goals, because you can't slip up again. So I hear you, the folks that don't want to expand it, and you love the greatest regular season in all of sports, and all that stuff is right up your alley. I'm telling you right now that clearly it feels that way right now. But as I always tell you, as an LSU fan, I'm only worried about what's best for LSU. And fun as this build up to this game may be, and fun as that 3.5 hours may be, you lose it, it's a lot worse than going out there and beating Grambling by 60, which is what you could do. You could not play in this game, and you could have Rice come over and beat them by 1,000. And it wouldn't hurt your playoff chances at all. You can hurt your playoff chances in a big way in the season opener. And there's a lot of talent that's going to be out there on the field. I wanted to talk about a couple of other names and numbers that were on the list just from an LSU perspective. Rocket Sanders, the running back from Arkansas, at number 18. His quarterback, KJ Jefferson, number 30. So that's about as good a 1-2 as you're going to have in college football with KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. Quinshon Judkins comes in at number 22. Of course, he ran for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns last year for the Rebels. Was fantastic in his freshman year. And then Will Rogers comes in at 36. He's going to rewrite the SEC record books this year. He'll pass everybody. He'll pass Aaron Murray and all the Werfel stuff and Peyton Manning and Drew Lock, and he's gonna leave them all to waste if he stays healthy for 13 more games. So, just an interesting list. I think it's fun this time of year. It doesn't mean a lot, but you can tell as you kind of look at this and you go, well, we get out there, you're going to have 4 LSU Tigers and 6 Florida State Seminoles. 10 of the top 100 players in the country by this list will be out there for the season opener between LSU and Florida State. That's real stuff that we're getting to here in 2.5 weeks. Tigers were out on the Ponderosa this afternoon. Glenn West was out there. We'll chat with him in 15 minutes. When we come back, I decided to do this. I kind of had this kind of put off to the side just kind of whenever I wanted to decide to do it, and I'm decided I'm going to do it today. The 3 most indispensable players on this LSU roster, not the 3 best, the 3 guys that you would have the most difficulty replacing immediately if an injury or a suspension or whatever the case may be, a targeting foul or whatever. If that guy comes out, what happens to your depth chart at that point? I've got the 3 guys that I think are the most indispensable on this LSU team. We'll get to that next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Speaking of the game, don't have a watch party in a couple of weeks and have an afternoon thunderstorm roll through, knock your power out. Got no power, got no television, got no party. You can fix that proactively with Boudreaux's Electric. Boudreaux's Electric is a family-owned and operated Generac dealer. Neil and Melissa have run things down there at Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years, and they're a premier Generac dealer. They're in the top 3% nationwide. They've got cutting-edge technology. They can customize a generator to your home. They can monitor that generator remotely so they understand when it fails and when they need to service it. They do cutting-edge things like that, but they also operate like a family business. They've had the same address and the same phone number for 40 years. Call Boudreaux's Electric today, get that Generac generator, and get a free 10-year warranty that goes with it. 10 years of a warranty that goes with it. That number that we tell you about they've had for 40 years is 985-397-1562. 397-1562 in the 985 area. Call Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Sandigrove, join us for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Snow's Seafood and Steak on Airline Highway in Gonzales. Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay, and Wes Reynolds join us for the show. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Glenn West in 15 minutes from right now. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on this Tuesday. Teased at the entering the last break. I want to go through the 3 most indispensable players on this LSU team entering 2023. Again, as I prefaced with this, it's not the best players. This is the player that if they were to leave the lineup for whatever reason, that the domino effect from that, whether it's just a substitution or it's a lineup restructuring, that would be the most detrimental to LSU in the short term. That's what we're looking for here. Not the 3 best players. It's the guys that you look at that depth chart, you see what would happen if they came out of the game, and then you go, okay, that's significant. I'll start at 3, and I'll go up to number 1, the most indispensable player on the roster. I kicked this around, and I looked around the depth chart, and I did settle here. And this is usually number 1. Your quarterback's usually number 1. It's not this time around, but it's number 3. Jaden Daniels is number 3 on this list to me. Now, Garrett Nussmeier, I'm comfortable with coming into a game. I think he has been in the program now entering his 3rd season. He played a great defense against Georgia last year. He got a lot of snaps in the bowl game. He's gotten a lot of reps in camp this year, certainly did in spring ball. He's got a great pedigree, and I'm comfortable with him going in the game. I just would rather Jaden Daniels be in there. Jaden Daniels adds a dimension that Garrett just doesn't quite have. And you could suggest, well, Garrett's more of a gunslinger, and he stretches the field a little bit more, and he takes more shots, and he stretches the defense vertically. And I'm going, okay, that's all fine. But Jaden can do that too. Garrett can't run like that. So there's a reason why we just went through this list of top 100 players in college football, and Jaden Daniels is number 15. Again, this is usually number 1. Most teams, if you lose that starting quarterback, you're in big trouble. I don't think that's the case with LSU this year. I think that you just alter things a little bit. You take a little bit of the quarterback run out, and you maybe lean on the running back run game a little bit more, and you realize what you've got in Garrett Nussmeier, who I think is ready to play. That's number 3 for me on this list is Jaden Daniels. Number 2 on this list is Harold Perkins, who I think most would suggest is the best player on the football team. And Perkins is in this spot mainly because of his versatility, not because his ability to play inside linebacker, which is where he will start the season. I think if LSU played a full season with Greg Penn and Omar Spates at inside linebacker, it wouldn't be a major weakness on the team. And if Perkins did lead the lineup for targeting or whatever the case may be, then those would be your inside backers, and I think they'd be fine. Penn has started a whole year in the SEC. Spates led his team in tackling last year in the Pac-12. But Perkins doesn't just play inside linebacker. He does some things that those guys can't do. Spying quarterbacks, rushing the passer from the edge. You can't just kick Greg Penn down there and have him affect the game the way that Harold Perkins does. And you look at some of the edge rushers that LSU has, while talented, I will grant you that, it may not be the extent of what Harold Perkins can be. Savion Jones has 4.5 sacks in his career. Ovie Hufo played last year for Texas and had 2.5 sacks. Braden Swinson played in 12 games last year and didn't have a sack. Quincy Wiggins last year in his freshman season had 1 tackle before they kicked off against Purdue. I think he made 4 tackles in the Purdue game. So, while I think Savion Jones may break out and have 9 sacks this year, well, I think Ovie Hufo and Braden Swinson are big physical guys who can stand up to a season in the SEC on the edge and maybe show some more pass rushing numbers this year. And that Quincy Wiggins is an immense talent. And so is Deshaun Womack. It's not a proven commodity, and I'm going to be just fine, quite honestly, for the first third down against Jordan Travis if Harold Perkins goes and lines up right off the tackle and says, hey, big boy, I'm coming. Because he's better at it than anybody else on the roster. So for me, Jaden Daniels, number 3 here. Harold Perkins is number 2. To me, the most indispensable player on this 2023 roster right now is Will Campbell. I know what happens if Jaden Daniels goes down. Garrett Nussmeier comes in and he plays quarterback. I know what happens if Harold Perkins goes down or is out of the lineup. I just told you. Greg Penn and Omar Spates jump in. The Weeks brothers may play a little bit. I know how that works. I don't know what happens if Will Campbell's not out there. My guess is Emory Jones switches sides. And you plug probably Lance Hurd in over there. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's Lance Hurd to start. I'm not sure. I can tell you that Lance Hurd has played a good bit of right and left tackle with the second team. I don't know if Garrett Dellinger can do that, or if Miles Frazier can do that, can kick out from guard where they've played and plug the other one in. I'm not sure. I'm sure that Brad Davis has a plan, because you can't go through a season and not have offensive linemen go down. It's just unavoidable. I reference this team every time I talk about the offensive line and moving guys around, because the offensive line was so great on this team, and every single one of the starting 5 missed time. In 2011, you had Chris Falk at left tackle. You had Will Blackwell at left guard. You had P.J. Lonergan at center. And then you moved to the right side, and you had Alex Hurst out at right tackle. And I'm totally blanking on the huge guy from Alabama who played right guard. I'll think of it in the middle of this diatribe. Doesn't matter. He was massive, like 6'7", huge. But they all missed some time in that year. And Greg Shaw stepped in at left tackle or right tackle, and T-Bob stepped in at one of the guard spots, and it just continued to move forward, because that's what a great offensive line has to do. You've got to have the next guy step up, because there's going to be some injuries. I just don't know what happens if your left tackle, who's a preseason All-SEC pick and is destined for the NFL pretty quickly, isn't out there. I don't want to think about that. Now, it helps that Jaden Daniels moves very well and can help out an offensive line that's struggling. See the Florida State game last year. They couldn't block anybody in the second half. LSU moved the football because Daniels was so explosive running. But I don't want to think about it. So to me, Will Campbell is the most valuable guy on this team this season. I thought about some other guys. I thought about Deuce Chestnut maybe, because they kind of look a little thin at corner. You don't want Malik Neighbors to go down, but I think they've got the guys to step in if that happens. I thought about Major Burns, who's the leader of your secondary, and you don't want that guy to go down. But inevitably, these are the guys that I settled on. And it's a long season, and there are bumps and bruises along the way, and there are a lot of guys working out on the rehab field as of today that I'd like to be out on the field. I'd like Mason Smith out on the field. He was certainly one that I thought of. but I think these three guys are the ones that I settled on after a significant amount of thought. It's Jaden Daniels, it's Harold Perkins, and it's Will Campbell. I'm glad all three of those guys are on the team. They're very, very, very good. I'm bummed out that I can't come up with the right guard on that team. Somebody put Josh Durasic in there. He was gone. He missed that year with an ACL injury and wasn't able to play. Came back and played actually left tackle on the next team after Chris Falk moved on. He was a big guy from the state of Alabama, and I just can't come up with his name. I'll look it up in the break, and we'll think of it. It was Chris Falk, Will Blackwell, P.J. Lonergan, that guy, and then Alex Hurst on the outside. And then it was Shaw and T-Bob that kind of rolled in. But I can't come up with it. Some of y'all are probably screaming at your radios. Although that was 12 years ago, now that I think about it. And that was the team that I covered day to day, and it was my entire job to know every single player on that team. And I think a lot of y'all probably don't necessarily operate on that plane. You have some other things to take care of other than who the 7 top offensive linemen are at a given time. But I can't quite come up with it. But I will in the timeout. Josh Williford, there it is. Michael in the Bayou Ford chat, big hand up. And he may not. Was he from Alabama? Let's see, Josh. This is great radio. To guide from Dothan, Alabama. There it is. All right, that's right. And I said he was huge. Give me the size, 6'7", 343. That'll do for quite a large dude. That offensive line could flat play. When you could line up and run the ball on anybody you could play against, and they never had a chance to stop you outside of the last game, that's a pretty salty group when there wasn't a ton going on in the passing game behind them. So that's my top 3 guys to look at for this LSU football team. When we come back, we'll chat with our guy Glenn West from Go 24/7. That's next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is that website. David Duvall and his team been in the game for 30 years. You do something for 30 years, you probably got it figured out by now. And David Duvall and his crew certainly do. Maybe you need a bathroom renovation or remodel, and that's great. David Duvall and his team can do it, whether it's a tub-to-shower conversion or a full-scale renovation. Maybe it's not you. Maybe you have an aging loved one, doesn't want to move out of what is home, but needs some help in the bathroom, which can be a pretty dangerous spot for people that are aging. If you need a walk-in tub, if you need some railing in the shower or tub area, David Duvall and his team do that all the time, and they're certainly happy to help you with that. If that rings a bell or may ring true to you in your current situation with a loved one, go to onebathandclosets.com and request that free consultation so that David Duvall and his team can come in and show you what they can do. If you decide to do a tub to shower conversion and a full-scale closet renovation, you do a combo of both, 10% off for Hunt Palmer Show listeners. 10% off. Check out all the reviews on onebathandclosets.com, those testimonials. Check out pictures of their great work. And again, request that free consultation right there on the website. It is onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Tigers are back on the practice field. We'll have a practice report for you. And the Saints have a night workout before they head to L.A. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As many of you know, I appointed myself the uniform czar last week. That's what happens when you're in charge. You call the shots. I'm in charge. I'm the uniform czar. We got a couple of new Southeastern Conference uniforms that are going to be rolled out this fall, and I will give you my thoughts on them coming up in the next segment. So you certainly won't want to miss that. You won't miss this either. So our guy Glenn West from Go 24/7 joins us each and every Tuesday in the 1:30 segment. Glenn, thanks for the time. How are you, man?
Just trying to cool off, Hunt. How are you?
I'm plenty cool. Come in this studio. It's a meat locker in here. You'll be cold in about 30 seconds. But I understand how that goes. You had a chance to sit down and chat with some guys on the team today. Had I believe Deuce Chestnut and Garrett Nussmeier out there, and I saw some things on Twitter. Garrett Nussmeier talking about his decision last year, whether or not to jump into the transfer portal and why he decided not to. I found those quotes pretty fascinating.
Yeah, Garrett gave some great insight on just kind of his decision and why he wanted to come back. I don't think he really ever considered seriously going into the portal. I mean, he might have had a day or two where he considered some other options, but his heart always was with LSU. I think he made that known to us today. This was, I think, the first time we've talked to him since that bowl game. And he obviously had a major decision on his hands after that game and after he finished off the season last year. So, he pretty much just told us that, you know, he's always dreamed of wearing the purple and gold and being able to, sport LSU and represent Louisiana in this program. And he made that known to us today. And I think that, look, when the reins are eventually handed to him, whether it's later this year or next year or whenever it is, LSU can feel confident that they're getting a really good player and also a guy who cares intimately about being a part of this program going forward.
I mean, what is it that would make a 20, 21-year-old feel okay sitting on the bench for a third straight season in this day and age?
Yeah, I mean, I think he had some really great conversations with Brian Kelly and with Joe Sloan about how he could develop this year. He told us that one thing that he likes is to get coached hard. And Joe Sloan has been a guy that has been really, really beneficial to his development as a player. Really likes being coached by Coach Sloan. And I think, he just saw this as, whether it's this year or next year, his opportunity to play for this program just outmatched any other opportunities he had to go play elsewhere. I think he felt that passionately about the school, about the program. LSU has been obviously giving him a lot of opportunities to run with some ones. It's been Jaden Daniels a lot with the ones recently, but Nuss has had a lot of reps this fall with the ones as well. And I think he's developing. He's definitely a different quarterback than this time last year, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way he's grown as a person, but also the way that he's been coached up here the last several months.
As you've watched him in fall camp, certainly you've watched he and Jaden Daniels go through a lot of reps and a lot of drills. What have you seen from Garrett Nussmeier in this fall camp?
Yeah, I think he's been very consistent. He's had a couple of practices where a couple of passes have gotten tipped and just kind of gotten unlucky on a few throws. But overall, I mean, the velocity's there, the arm talent is there. You can see it. It's definitely something where a lot of these younger receivers, I think, are getting a first taste of what it's going to be like to catch under Nuss next year. And I think he's made immense strides. He's definitely taking the check down, taking the free yards where he can get them. It's been a little bit up and down, I think, for the offense as a whole the last couple of days, but I think that's more due to the fact that the secondary is starting to come together. And I think the back half of the defense has really performed well over the last 3 or 4 practices and making life a little bit more difficult. But, I mean, you were out there the first week. The offense was cruising. And I think that you've seen that pretty consistently from both Jaden and Garrett up until these last couple of practices.
Yeah, Matt Moscona was out of practice today, jumped on the show previous to mine live at lunch with Jimmy and Charlie and said that he thought the defense was really coming along and kind of punching back a little bit where they did in the first week. Has that been your experience? Obviously, you just alluded to that, but who are some of the players that you've seen in the secondary that have made some plays?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say Deuce Chestnut is definitely a name that comes to mind. Andre Sam is definitely somebody who has been really consistent for him at safety. They just got Greg Brooks back today. He's been dealing with the case of vertigo, but he's back, and he was making a lot of physical plays today. I just think that they have a core group of about 5 or 6 players in the secondary that they feel really good about, and then maybe a couple players that they think maybe can find their way into the rotation this year. I would say Ashton Stamps, Terrence Welsh are the 2 guys who maybe aren't as consistently a part of the first-team rotations, but are getting a lot of really serious looks and making some really big-time plays against the second unit. But I do think you're probably looking right now as a Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut, Sage Ryan, Andre Sam, Greg Brooks, Major Burns kind of grouping in the secondary. And that's a lot of veterans. That's a lot of players who have a lot of experience. And it goes, kind of hand in hand with what Brian Kelly has said all along, is that I think these transfers and these more experienced players are going to start rising to the top here. And I think you're starting to see that over the last couple of practices.
Deuce Chestnut met with the media today. Did he have anything insightful to give y'all?
Yeah, so Deuce was probably one of the players that was kind of really feeling the heat the first couple of days. He wasn't shy about saying how he was getting used to the conditions coming down from the Syracuses of the world. So, but his on-field reps have been really great, and he gave some really great perspective about him being, a really just a veteran leader, a veteran starter in college football, and how he thinks that it's helped him make the quick adjustment. He wasn't really available all that much to LSU in the spring or in the early parts of summer, but he's been able to adjust fairly quickly and rise up the depth chart, pretty quickly as well. So I do think LSU feels good about where they're at with him. I had him pegged as a potential nickel guy, but he's been really physical on the outside. He's been doing a really nice job in man coverage, and I think he's going to be able to hold up there with a lot of the really great receivers in the conference.
Glenn West, senior writer over at Go 24/7, with us each and every Tuesday. Mason Smith, we saw him go down on Saturday. I kind of talked about that yesterday on my show. You were out at practice today. What can you tell us about the big fella?
Yeah, he was out there in full pads today. He wasn't really doing a whole lot of teamwork. I think he's probably right on the brink of getting back to full contact. He was doing a lot of stuff on his own right now in practice today. A lot of work with the dummies and just kind of practicing his moves and stuff like that. But yeah, he's gonna be good. I don't think he's gonna be out much longer. I think he's gonna be fine going forward.
I did a segment just previous to this segment talking about the three guys that LSU can least afford to lose on this roster. I put Jaden Daniels at third. I put Harold Perkins at second. I put Will Campbell up at the top. How valuable is LSU's left tackle to this team?
Oh, he's insanely valuable. I mean, whether it's Perkins at 1 and Campbell at 2, Perkins at 1, I think I'm right there with you in terms of just the value that those two guys bring to both sides of the ball. I mean, Campbell's had a really, really nice camp. I mean, he doesn't really get talked about a whole ton just because he's been doing his job, and I think that's the thing that has been really stand out about him is that he's very consistent. Jaden's not going to have to really worry about looking over his shoulder too much this year. I really do feel like Will is taking another big step, and yeah, I would absolutely put him in there. I'd put Jaden in there, and maybe one or two secondary guys too, just because if you lose one or two guys in the secondary, you're really going to have to rely on a bunch of pieces that aren't really as experienced, and so. I do think, though, that Campbell and Perkins are probably 1 and 2 on my list as well.
Mason Taylor basically had to do everything at tight end as a true freshman last year. They just didn't have any numbers at that position. They brought in a really good tight end class. How ready are those guys to contribute, or is it still kind of Mason Taylor's show?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Kamorian Pinson today made multiple just wow kind of catches. I mean, in one-on-ones, he jumped over Javian Tobiano for a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And then he also, I wasn't out there for this part, but a lot of the media guys that came in towards the end of practice said he made an absolutely insane catch in 11-on-11, just high-pointed the ball, leapt over a guy. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he's been a real standout. I think he's a guy that absolutely can have a role on this team as a pass catcher. Certainly down in the red zone and goal line situations. But they've all looked pretty good. Mac Markway's had some really good days at camp. I think Jackson McGohan's probably still a little bit of ways away from contributing. But those two freshmen, I think are really going to round out the tight end group nicely. And I think you could see a lot of 2 tight end packages for LSU this year.
Glenn, we appreciate the time. Go cool off.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Glenn West, senior writer at Go 24/7, all your team coverage. Glenn's out there each and every day putting practice reports up, getting the interviews, writing stories, and do a great job with recruiting over there at 24/7 as well. Let me piggyback onto something Glenn said there briefly. You talk about the young tight ends, and this goes for really young players at any position, whether it's Ashton Stamps out at corner, whether it's Quincy Wiggins or Deshaun Womack at edge, whether it's one of the freshman running backs, Caleb Jackson, any of the freshman wide receivers, Shelton Sampson, Jalen Brown, Kyle Parker, like whoever. If LSU's going to be a championship level team this year, and that's how I'm going to frame this conversation. If they're not, and they lose games earlier, they're not beating, then this conversation's moot anyway. If they're going to be a championship level team, they should take care of their business early in the season. You should beat Grambling and will beat Grambling by 1 million. You're at Mississippi State. You ought to win that game. You're at home against Arkansas. You should win that game. And theoretically, you should win that game by a couple scores. The same thing goes for a game at Missouri. Same thing goes for a game against Auburn at home, certainly Army at home. There could be some real opportunities for young players to get into some games that aren't necessarily hanging in the balance. I would think in the fourth quarter, LSU Grambling's not going to be hanging in the balance. It shouldn't be at State. It shouldn't be against Arkansas. Shouldn't be at Missouri. Shouldn't be against Auburn. Shouldn't be against Army. So by the time you get to Alabama, you get to Florida, you get to A&M, you get to whatever SEC championship game or playoff game that could show up, those guys should have had a chance to get a little seasoning early on. Maybe not. Maybe Will Rogers and KJ Jefferson, who are two of the quarterbacks I'm talking about there, have really good days against you and you're on the ropes. Maybe you lose a game there too. And if you do, then this conversation is completely moot. But when LSU's got an elite football team that competes for championships, more often than not, they dispose of some of these weaker SEC teams. And we think Mississippi State, Arkansas, Missouri, and Auburn are on the weaker side. Maybe they're not. but it feels that way, and it feels like LSU should be able to create some separation in some of those games and get Kamori and Pimpton into the game. Get Ashton Stamps into the game. Get Mac Markway into the game. Let's see what Deshaun Womack can do, right? Feels like that should be what happens. But I guess to throw a cliche at them, that's why they play the games. Excited for hour number 2 here. We've got Matt McMahon, LSU head basketball coach, coming on in 15 minutes from right now. We're going to talk about their trip down to the Bahamas, what his roster kind of looked like. They got 10 extra practices, got 3 games that they were able to play. And so they'll start school coming up on Monday. And we'll see what Coach McMahon thought about the summer and offseason that his team had entering year number 2. We'll meet the freshmen. Last one of the year, Deshaun Womack and Zalance Hurd. Of course, we'll chat with Sharif Ishak about the Saints coming up at 2:30, as we always do. When we come back, the uniform czar has some rulings on a couple of SEC teams that tweeted out new uniforms for this year. That's next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Charles Hannigrove, join us for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Snow's Seafood and Steak on Airline Highway in Gonzales. Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay, and Wes Reynolds join us for the show. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, a couple of SEC football programs sent out some tweets today previewing some uniforms that their teams will be wearing at some point this fall. And I realize that the vast majority of of those who consume the Hunt Palmer Show are doing so via audio, whether that's terrestrial radio in your car, podcast. That's how most people do consume it. We certainly have a really strong following on YouTube, and this will be a little easier for y'all, but I realize that. So I'm not going to have these segments very often because they're not accompanied by any video or you're not able to look at it. But I think I can describe these pretty well so that the uniform czar can make his proclamations on these two uniforms. We'll start with Mississippi State, who 3 hours ago sent out a tweet that said, "Feeling like 98, Hail State." And it had 4 pictures up. And this is just simply a throwback to their 1998 uniforms. It's the classic maroon top. It says Miss State on the front over the numbers. And it's got on the helmet and on the pants the cascading interlocking MSU. That, of course, is taking the place of what they currently have, which is the big block M with the state banner. This is a 10 out of 10. This is how you show up to play an SEC football game. The Mississippi State MSU logo is 1,000 times better than the banner state. Having the Miss State is classic on the front. They've got the white pants with the stripes. They've got the maroon tops, the maroon helmets. There's no black. There's no gray. There's no change of the logo. It's just classic, and it looks phenomenal, as they did in 1998. State gets a 10 out of 10 for this from the uniform czar. And again, I make the rules here. I make the decisions. I tell you what's good, what's bad. Your decision, your opinion on the matter is irrelevant. I make the decisions, and this is phenomenal. The University of Florida came out, and they sent a little tweet today. It said 11/4/23, so they're going to wear these on November the 4th. And it's hashtag saluting those who serve. These Florida uniforms have a black helmet, black uniform, black pants. You've got orange and blue and white trim all over the place, but the entirety of it is black. Now, I support the troops. Love the troops, appreciate the troops. Without the troops, tough to sit here and blabber about sports and proclaim yourself the uniform czar. Probably have to take care of some more important things if they weren't out there. So fully support the troops. This uniform combination is atrocious. You want to support the troops? Throw an American flag on the back of the helmet. Have Lee Greenwood come do the halftime show at the Swamp. That will support the troops. Give a moment of silence in the first quarter. Don't wear all black uniforms. 1, I don't know how that supports the troops. 2, it's heinous. Florida is home to one of the iconic brands in sport. The Gator logo, the orange and blue, the Swamp. It's iconic. I hate them, but it's iconic. You look bad in all black. They look bad in black basketball uniforms, which they wear sometimes. They look bad in black baseball uniforms, which they wear sometimes. They're not black. Georgia is red and black. Missouri is gold and black. Florida is orange and blue. You can't change your colors. Awful. It was bad when Smoke Laval had us in black baseball uniforms out at the box. Our black basketball uniforms weren't very good. This is atrocious. 1 out of 10. And you only get 1 point because you're supporting the troops. If there weren't troops involved here and we were just going black, we'd have a 0. So Mississippi State, uniforms czar, awards you 10 out of 10 points. You may pass go. You may collect $200. You may ring your cowbells. Excellent work. Florida, get off the field. Awful. the uniforms are has spoken. If you're looking for something fun to do, I'll be doing sports trivia tonight at Pluckers. Huge game for the Cubs. They're playing the atrocious White Sox. I'll be locked into that. We'll have a lot of baseball on the TV. We'll be playing sports trivia. You can win gift cards, drink delicious beers, eat fantastic wings, and it's a lot of fun. 8:30 Nicholson location, just like every Tuesday. We'll be out there. Grab a team. Come on out and see us at Pluckers on Nicholson. Fired up for hour number 2. Sharif Ishak in his normal spot. Talking Saints at the bottom of hour number 2. We'll meet the freshmen at 2:15. And when we come back right after Sports Center, we're going to chat with LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon. They just got back from the Bahamas. What did he see? That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Is
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Anthony Richardson, the 4th overall pick in this year's NFL draft, will be the Colts' starting quarterback this season. Richardson told reporters he was shocked when given that news today. Jets running back Breece Hall activated from the PUP list. His return to the practice field one day after the Jets agreed to sign running back Dalvin Cook. Hall coming back from a torn ACL. The Jets currently plan to bring him along slowly and leaning on Cook as the primary ball carrier early this season. Notes Canty and Carlin co-host Chris Canty.
You've got a bona fide difference maker, a guy that can break tackles, a guy that understands the value of a 4-yard run as well, but a player that will mesh well with the zone running scheme that they want to employ under their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett.
Chris Canty on Greeny. Cook's at least a week away from being able to practice as he recovers from shoulder surgery. Lucas Glover and Rory McIlroy paired in the first round of this week's BMW Championship, the next to last event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Coverage starts Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Brazilian soccer star Neymar completed his transfer from PSG to Saudi club Al Hilal.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Sharif Ishak talking Saints with us in 30 minutes. We'll meet the freshmen coming up in 15 minutes. But to open up the hour, it is our pleasure to jump out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline and welcome in LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon. Coach, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Hunt, doing great. Coming off this nice trip down to the Bahamas, and looking forward to getting this fall semester started up on Monday.
So that's your second tropical trip as the head coach of LSU men's basketball. Did the clocks work this time?
Man, don't bring back bad memories. But no, this was a lot more of a smooth clock operator there in the Bahamas. But I know we talked about it before we went. The basketball was great. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but just the time with 9 of our 15 guys being newcomers, getting to spend that time together, I think was really priceless for our team.
What were they able to do off the floor?
Yeah, we went on a catamaran boat tour, went out and went snorkeling. It was interesting to see all the 6'10" and 7-footers out there in the ocean doing their snorkeling deal. There was a little bit of time spent there at the water park at the Atlantis, and quite possibly maybe a little bit of time in the casino.
That's very, very good stuff. I've never been to the Bahamas. I need to check that out. It sounds like an awesome trip for y'all. I do want to talk about the basketball. Was there anything specifically that you were looking to get out of? I saw some quotes from you saying we didn't run a lot of necessarily plays or sets. I just wanted the guys to kind of get a sense of how each other operated. What was the emphasis on the floor for you?
Yeah, from an offensive standpoint, we wanted to play extremely fast, get out in transition, and then just play out of some concepts more so than set plays. And so I thought our guys did a really good job of that. You're also on a 24-second shot clock there in FIBA rules, so you don't necessarily have a choice. But that's the pace we would like to play at as we build the personnel of our roster. And then just getting the opportunity to try different combinations and experiment with different lineups, see who plays well together. I think those were some of the bigger benefits of the trip.
Tyrell Ward obviously saw a good amount of playing time as a freshman, did a lot of spot-up shooting on the offensive end. I look at the stat sheet, which is all we can look at. It looked like he had a really nice start to the trip offensively. Where is the development in his game from year 1 to year 2?
Well, I think he's blessed with great talent. Rightfully a top 40 recruit in the country when he was coming out, 6'7" on that wing. With good athleticism. And so I think now, just with a year under his belt, you're seeing him ready to mature and take a big jump from year one to year two. And he didn't shoot it as well in the third game, but the first two games he was terrific. Led us in scoring in 2 of the 3 games. And the guy that we're really counting on to have that breakout season, not just as a catch-and-shoot guy, but as someone who's really athletic, can get to the basket, score at all 3 levels. And then also I thought he showed really some great flashes of using his length to be disruptive on the defensive side of the ball.
Statistically, Will Baker was about as efficient as you can be as a 7-footer. He shot almost 80% over 3 days. What's his role offensively on this team?
Well, I think with Will, the versatility for a guy at his size, 7 feet, 250 pounds, he's so skilled down on the block. He had 2. I hadn't seen a sky hook since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He had a couple of them down there. But then he can also step out and shoot the 3. And I think, as crazy as this might sound, at that size, he's a really skilled passer and playmaker out of dribble handoff situations. He's a guy who can play in the high post and make good decisions. So I thought he had a great trip. I thought he had an awesome summer. He's worked extremely hard to get better on the defensive side of the ball. But from an offensive standpoint, he really has all the tools.
We know the talent that Damian Collins has. He was a 5-star recruit going into Kentucky. He played a little bit at Kentucky. He now comes into your program. What is his role on this team as a 6'9" junior forward?
Yeah, I think, Hunt, it starts with we talk a lot about the negatives. You hear all the negatives of the portal. I think there are a lot of positives to it as well. And sometimes just as a player, you need a fresh start. And I think that's what this opportunity provides for Damian. 6'9", 7'5" wingspan, just a freak of an athlete. And everyone will talk, he's thin. There's no question about that. But just his ability to impact the rim, both defensively and then as a threat, as a ball screen and roll guy. Also a guy who's an elite offensive rebounder above the rim. And I don't know, this will be part of his continued development, but when we needed a big basket down 4 against a really good Puerto Rican team, he hit a huge 3 late in the game. And I think his continued development on the perimeter will be key for him.
Trey Hannibal had a boatload of assists down there. I think a lot of his job last year was attacking and trying to score at the rim. The Arkansas game certainly comes to mind. Is that a guy that can be a facilitator for you?
Yeah, we certainly hope so. I think, and again, we're all this way, consistency is a key word. He showed flashes last year. Was SEC Player of the Week one week, had back-to-back double-doubles in the SEC tournament. Now it's just about being consistent, and he was terrific from a physicality standpoint at the guard position. He actually led us in rebounding on the trip at 8 a game. But one thing we really wanted to work on this summer with him is that assist-to-turnover ratio. And in the 3 games, he goes 20 assists, only 4 turnovers, 5-to-1 ratio, a win every day. So I thought he had a great summer and a great trip.
Now look at Carlos Stewart and Wani Wilkinson coming back to play for this team, Jordan Wright. Do you expect to shoot the ball from the three-point line a little bit better than you did last year?
Well, there's only one place to go, and that's up. And so we better shoot it a lot better. And that was one thing out of the trip that was positive. We made 9 threes a game at about 38%. I thought Jordan Wright, he was terrific. He actually led us in scoring down there. He had 23 in the first half against the pro team out of Argentina before he shut him down in the second half. I think he could have gone for 40 the way he was playing. And he was shot over 50% from behind the arc. Carlos didn't shoot it as well as we know he can on the trip, but he did average 6 assists a game and was our best defender. Averaged over 3 steals a game there. And he's a guy who's proven it. He shot 40% from 3 last year. So we expect him to carry that over. And M1, he's a guy, he had a great summer. He's only been cleared off that shoulder surgery for a month. But you wouldn't have been able to tell on the trip. He's really shot it well from three. And as you know, he's a guy 2 years ago who shot about 42% behind the arc. So we need him to do that for us. And, Tyrell Ward as well from behind the three-point line. And then the final piece, I think, Will Baker, even at 7 feet, I think with the ability to stretch the floor and space it, he's very capable from behind the arc.
So now the NCAA allows you to do this once every 4 years, to have the extra 10 practices to go and play abroad somewhere. And you guys obviously went down to the Bahamas, as we've discussed. Do you feel like entering the school year, as y'all start up next week, that you've got a little better handle on what y'all need to do before the season starts than you would in another year when you didn't have this opportunity?
Oh, for sure. I mean, all the players are home. They're off this week, but we've been in coaching staff meetings just breaking down, the adjustments that need to be made in all three phases coming out of the trip. But those 10 practices and 3 games, the footage that you wouldn't have, that's been huge for us. And it allowed us to experiment with some different things from a different style of play on the offensive end of the floor. And now we can fine tune those and get better at them. And especially with 60% of the roster being new, just that time getting to build those relationships and that chemistry together on the floor what was important for us.
One more question here, Coach, and we appreciate your time so much. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Jalen Cook obviously was here, and he transferred to Tulane, had a really nice run over there in New Orleans, and is transferred for a second time, which is going to require a waiver from the NCAA. Do you have any update on Jalen's status as you move into the school year?
Yeah, we're still in that waiver process. We're moving forward, expecting him to be able to play, but that NCAA is still reviewing each individual case, and hopefully we'll find out something soon. But as I said, we plan on him being ready to go. Only negative to the summer, we had some injuries. Derek Fountain missed he was on the trip but couldn't play due to a stomach issue, but he'll be fully cleared next week. Jalen Reed just got back after missing a month with a sprained knee. And Jalen Cook actually has been out injured with a hamstring. Expect to get him back soon. So the trip was great for us. It was just an amazing experience, not only on the court, but just getting to spend that time together. And, for quite a few of our guys, their first trip outside the country.
I can imagine. They got that's an awesome thing for them to do. And back to school coming up on Monday, and it'll be basketball season before we know it. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right, hon. I look forward to seeing you at the tailgates in September.
We will be out there. That is LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon entering year number 2 as the head man down here in Baton Rouge. Just a cool trip for those guys to do. We've seen LSU teams go to Australia. We've seen different SEC teams, Canada, go over to Europe to play. It's just something the NCAA allows you to do every 4 years, and LSU certainly takes advantage of that and did. So good to hear a lot of the good things that went on. They're going to be a better team this year. They're going to shoot it better. They're going to be better offensively, and I think they've found a couple of pieces defensively that are going to help them. I think Collins does. I think Imwani coming back helps them defensively as well. Hopefully Derek Fountain increased playing time will help them there, protecting the rim. I think there's some things to like about this team, and certainly this time around this time of year, all optimism. Hopefully they can get those guys that have been injured back, and you can hope to get Jalen Cook cleared from that waiver. We talked about the defensive lineman from Florida State did not get cleared. The hope is that Jalen is, but their NCAA drags their feet. It's what they do, and they're dragging their feet right now. So no further update on the junior guard from Walker. All right, when we come back, we'll do a little bit of Meet the Freshman. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Surely you know of a champion of Louisiana, somebody that it's either a person, maybe it's a nonprofit, a business that's doing great philanthropic work in our great state. We want to tell their story, and LWCC gives us that platform. It's their Champion of Louisiana program. You go to lwcc.com/champions. You can read about all the great champions they've highlighted over the last 2 years, and you can nominate a champion of Louisiana, which we encourage you to do. Corey Barr, certainly a champion of Louisiana. We've been telling you about Corey this summer. He's a chef who's got national acclaim for his work on the Food Network, beat Bobby Flay, Food Network star. But he comes back home to Monroe, and he operates his 3 businesses right here in the state of Louisiana because that's important to him. Corey Barr is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Tigers are back on the practice field. We'll have a practice report for you. And the Saints have a night workout before they head to L.A. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sharif Ishaq coming up, talking black and gold here in 12 minutes. Saints have a new running back that you're probably familiar with. We'll talk to Sharif about coming up here in his normal 2:30 segment. But for one last time in 2023, let's meet the freshmen.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen. Meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
26 of them. And we have gone through the lot here of the freshmen. We got 2 more to go. The 2 highest rated freshmen in this 2013 class that LSU brought to campus. We start with Zalance Hurd, who on the LSU roster sheet is going by Lance Hurd, which clears up some things. You could hear Zalance, Zalance. I've probably butchered it 100 times. But if you're just going to throw Lance Hurd on the roster sheet, I'm going to be fine with that, and we'll roll with it. Lance Hurd, a 5-star by On3 and Rivals and 24/7 Sports. ESPN had him as a 4-star. He was the number 22 player in the country by On3. Top 2 player in the state of Louisiana, number 2 on that list. And interestingly enough, I don't think I realized this until I got the LSU roster. On3, on his recruiting profile, has him listed at 6'5.5", 305. LSU's roster has him at 6'6", 330. And you notice Lance Hurd when you go out to practice. This is a big man. He's big standing next to Emory Jones. He's big standing next to Will Campbell, his former high school teammate. He's big standing next to all of them. And I think we may have taken for granted what Will Campbell and Emory Jones did last year. That's not supposed to happen. You are not supposed to have freshmen playing tackle in the SEC. Running back, you can mix them in. Wide receiver, yeah, you can make that work. Offensive tackle, not supposed to happen. And I think that warps your view of like, oh, we'll just, look, he's another 5-star. Just put him in. Start. Not that easy. Now, Lance Hurd doesn't lack any confidence. You all, I'm sure, are familiar with the quotes that he gave when he signed on saying, I'm going to play left tackle. And they said, well, Will Campbell's playing left tackle. He said, I played with Will. I'll be the left tackle. It's all fine and well. I don't know if I believe him. I think Will Campbell will probably be the left tackle. But there's confidence there. There's size there. And clearly, those who evaluate talent believe him to be an immense talent. Now, the question was, well, are you going to move Lance Hurd in and play some guard to kind of get your best 5 on the field if you've got Jones and Campbell out there at tackle? And the answer is no. When I've been out at practice, which is not all of them, but when I've been out at practice, Lance Hurd has worked at tackle on the second team. I've seen him at left, I've seen him at right, but he's working at tackle. And that goes back to the discussion we had back in the first hour where I said, I don't really know if Will Campbell couldn't play, what they would do. Would they move Emory Jones over and then plug Lance Hurd in at right tackle? Would they just plug Lance Hurd in at left tackle? Like, I don't know. But he's working his way up the depth chart. He's a real talent, and it would be difficult for me to forecast anything but him being a pillar of the offensive line moving forward after this year, and perhaps at some point this year. He's a big dude. So that is Lance Hurd. And the final freshman that we will meet in our exercise of going through the entire class is Deshaun Womack. Deshaun Womack, a 5-star by On3, a 5-star by 24/7, 4-star by ESPN and Rivals. But On3 had him as the 12th best player in the country. 24/7 had him the 26th best player in the country out at edge. He hails from Baltimore, Maryland, St. Francis Academy, 6'5", 250 pounds. Top 50 player in the country in terms of the composite. And this is a guy who really has some gifts, as you would imagine for a guy who's rated as a 5-star. He's a good athlete. He bends well. He can really rush the passer. And he's not one of these guys that has to come in and fill out. The answer, the guy you always point to when you talk about that is Kiki Mingo. Like, he's what you figure would be a really talented edge rusher with long limbs and long levers, but he's got to put on the 20 pounds that it takes to play that position. Caleb was even a little bit undersized, even though he played well in his camp before he got hurt as a freshman. But Womack's he's 250 pounds. Like, he's big. And I do think that the staff will lean on the older guys, Savion Jones, Braden Swenson, Obi Agufo. Those guys will be called on first. But this guy is going to get some reps. He and Quincy Wiggins will find a way, mop up time against Grambling, mop up time in some of the SEC games, Army. Like, what they'll find their way to the field. And maybe it's just in obvious passing situations where it's, hey, go rush. Don't have to worry about setting the edge. Don't have to worry about shedding the block of the big SEC offensive tackle who's moving downhill in the run game. No, it's a 3rd and 7. It's a 3rd and 11. Like, go get him. And he should fit in when he goes out there. I'm not telling you he's a star. I'm not telling you he's a starter. I'm not telling you he's a contributor yet. I think he'll see reps. And I think that he has the physical gifts and the physical size at this point in his college career, which is at the very beginning, to go play a little bit. The good news is, like I said, they've brought in transfers to help on the edges until he's ready to roll. But these two guys are noticeable on the practice field, and you would imagine that their ceiling is remarkably high as LSU Tigers, and two really good pieces to pull in to this class, and really the headliners of the class. I know things can kind of spiral when you look at a loss right there in Duncanville. You didn't get Colin Simmons. This is not a staff that can close. They've had some pretty good players that this staff's closed on. Harold Perkins, Lance Hurd, Deshaun Womack, pretty solid guys. And I think you'll see that sooner rather than later with these two guys. So that is Meet the Freshmen, the 2023 edition, the segment that has lasted for 3 years, 3 different times. The first 3 times segment that we've done on this show with Meet the Freshmen. If you're looking for something to do this evening, Plucker Sports Trivia, always an awesome option. 8:30 every Tuesday. I host awesome chicken wings, cold beers, sports on TV, and you can win gift cards by answering sports trivia questions. We always have an LSU football round. We will have one tonight. And it's always a lot of fun. So grab a team coming out to Pluckers. 8:30, we'll have you out of there by 10 o'clock or so this evening. So looking forward to getting out to the Nicholson location tonight for sports trivia. Take a time out. We'll get with Sharif Ishak next on Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. This collaboration is going to provide patients in our region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in the nation. Ochsner is the first and only provider in the state of Louisiana with a fully integrated cancer program that's based on MD Anderson's practice standards and treatment plans. The physicians with Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center are going to have direct access to MD Anderson specialists and researchers, and they're going to offer access to select clinical trials to available eligible patients. And it's not just one place in the state of Louisiana. Nope. Expert care is going to be offered in 7 locations throughout South Louisiana. New Orleans, St. Tammany, right here in Baton Rouge. And you may be saying to yourself, wait, I listen every day up in Monroe and Shreveport and Alexandria, and that's a little bit outside of the range. Just wait. Ochsner MD Anderson are going to work together to certify additional sites in the future. That's really, really exciting. MD Anderson is one of the largest and most respected cancer centers devoted exclusively to cancer patient care, research, education, and prevention. If you want to learn more about Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center, go to ochsner.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
Sandigrove, join us for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Snow's Seafood and Steak on Airline Highway in Gonzales. Scott Rabelais, Randy McKay, and Wes Reynolds join us for the show. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Saints moving right along through the preseason. Of course, got a win over the Chiefs on Sunday. They head out to Los Angeles to do battle with the Chargers, first for a couple of full squad practices and then for a game Sunday night from out in SoFi. Sharif Ishaq's been with the Saints all the way, been with us each and every Tuesday, joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. How are you, Sharif?
Good, man. I assume that Saints fans are, thinking they're going to, book their tickets to Vegas and play for the Super Bowl championship.
It was a good showing. And what did you think?
Yeah, I was telling people, I was like, watching, the first team offense, throughout the entire training camp, a lot of ups and downs, which, you expect because you face off against each other every day in practice, it's just the monotony of practice. And, you don't really get a great rhythm until you face another team. And it looked like that first-team offense had been together for years, the way they just drove down the field. Derek Carr, like Derek Allen said, in control, poised, 6 of 8, finding 4 different targets. That pass to Michael Thomas, he put it in a perfect spot. I thought it was a really good drive by Derek Carr and his only drive. I thought it was, nice to see that. It was nice to see something, productive from the quarterback position in only one drive. I like the direction they're heading in. I know they're probably not going to see more preseason action the rest of the time here against the Chargers and the Texans. But look, that was it, and that's just a taste of what's to come. It was nice. It was nice to see that from the offense.
Let me stop you right there. You don't expect to see Carr in the first team in the next 2 preseason games?
I would be shocked, honestly, man. Honestly, I would be. I mean, because the joint practices are way more important the next 2 weeks than actually playing the game. You got to be careful what you do. I mean, you don't want to suffer any injuries playing in these games. And, that was always Sean Payton's, theory to get the most out of these joint practices. And I think Dennis Allen falls the same suit. I could be wrong. Maybe Derek Carr pitches to play in this game and maybe gets another series. But, you're at that point where, like, man, you just cannot afford anything to happen to one of your starters. So the joint practices have always been way more important than these preseason games.
I'm curious where you think the depth chart stops for the active roster at wide receiver. Obviously, Olave and Thomas and Shaheed are going to be in. And then it's the Traquan Smith, Keith Kirkwood crew there in the back end. Of course, Kirkwood had the touchdown there. But if you're going to keep that many tight ends and you're going to keep Taysom, where do you think the wide receiver room stops on the active 53?
Right. I mean, look, A.T. Perry flashed really well in that game, caught all 6 of his targets. Keith being in on that first-team offense, that first drive. I mean, that's because Rashid Shaheed is hurt and couldn't play in the game and probably won't play until the first week. I mean, look, 5 or 6 wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we're in a passing league, and Derek Carr's probably going to vouch to get like a sixth receiver. It's got to be 5 or 6. But, you say the first 3, then after that it's 2. Is it Traquan Smith? Is it Kirkwood? Or A.T. Perry fighting for a spot? I mean, he's had an up-and-down camp and then shows in the game. Well, lights come on. He's awesome. I mean, but 5 or 6, it's going to be those 3 guys fighting for those 3 spots. It's a good thing to have, man. Depth at that position is fine. It's just some of the other positions you're like, oh man, somebody goes down, how's it going to look?
How'd you think Trevor Penning looked?
I thought he played decent. I thought he actually played very decent. Played very decent in my mind, and that first team offensive line, in that one drive, a lot of steal blocks, create that nice little hole for Kamara to run through in that first run he had. I have no complaints from Trevor on Trevor Penning's game and anything else from that first team offensive line. And, he's coming off that Liz Frank injury. I mean, I thought he played well, the snaps he got. So, look, the first team offensive line killed it. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. It's after that, Hunt. Second and third team offensive line, guys that you need for depth and backup, just an utter failure. It was awful to watch everything after the first team offensive line.
Let's talk running back. Kamara looked healthy, looked explosive. You lose Kendre Miller for a little bit of time here, and then the Saints bring in Darrell Williams, who we're familiar with his days from John Ehret, and then, of course, here at LSU. What do you make of that group at this point in training camp?
It's one of the positions you can't afford to lose anybody in. Like, it's good to know that it's not a long-term injury for Kendre Miller. Jamal Williams, he's getting 4 yards, surging through that line, 4 yards a pop every time he touched the ball, it felt like. And you're like, he's getting stuff with line, and kept churning those legs and getting 4 or 5 yards a pop. I like it. I like what they've done in camp with the running backs, and, bringing in Darrell Williams doesn't hurt. Pass catcher can, catch out of the backfield and run the ball a little bit. They just, it almost feels like, man, let's put these running backs in bubble wrap. I mean, we can't afford to lose Jamal or Alvin. Alvin's already out for the first 3 games, but just can't afford to have anyone get hurt now in that position, now that you have Kendre Miller. But I think, for the most part, I like the depth there. If no one else obviously gets hurt, it's fine. It's going to be fine there, the way Derek Carr and Pete Carmichael, shaped that offense. I just like it. And I do like Darrell being on that offense and how he's going to be able to help.
Can Zach Bond help?
I just keep saying this, to people. I'm like, why are they trying to make him something he's not? He's a pass rusher. He's not a linebacker. He's an edge rusher. He never really dropped back at Wisconsin. Just let him rush the passer. He does one thing really well. Gets after the quarterback. I mean, nice little sack for him in that game, but he is what he is at this point. This is a make or break special teamer and an edge rusher. He's not going to play linebacker like Pete and DeMario. That's just not what he does. I mean, I understand that in that defense you have to be able to do multiple things, but that's not what Zach does. Zach gets after the quarterback.
Chatting with Sharif Ishak, WDSU down in New Orleans. Saints headed out to L.A. to play the Chargers this weekend. They'll have a couple of joint practices before that. What do they need to get accomplished? A guy or two that you would look at and say, hey, this is a big week for them, whether it's improving or just making the roster?
We could continue to talk about the first team offense. I do want to see more from the first and second round pick. I want to see more from Z. Z was in on that play where the ball got tipped and intercepted by Amadi. He did a good job to force the pressure up the middle. I want to see a bit more from him in these games. Didn't have a good game. And I understand it's a learning curve for him. And I've said many times on this show, you don't have the most sacks in Notre Dame history by accident. It is going to be a learning curve for him. It might take a couple years, but he's getting beat up a bit by the offensive line for the Chiefs. So I do need to see a little bit more from those two. And Jake Haener, he did a good job of leading the comeback, but at the start of that game wasn't pretty, man. But that's, you get with a rookie quarterback, a lot of up and down. But I do want to see that from the rookie side. The first team offense, I think they're gonna do well in this Chargers joint practice. I really do. I feel like they're in sync. They have something nice and special going with Derek in command and building that chemistry and his constant communication with his receivers and tight ends. I was a little shocked that Foster didn't see the ball. I'd like to see Foster more get a few touches here and there, and they've gone in and these joint practices. Got to get him back in the flow.
Lutz converted his kick early in the game. Any chance that he's not the staying starting kicker come the first game?
I think if he's hurt, that's the only chance he's not the kicker. That's the only way I think he loses his job. Hey, it's a nice competition. Iron sharpens iron, the biggest cliche out there. It's nice that Blake Grupe is in there, had a chance to kick the game winner. But two guys are good, man. It's funny, though. It really is funny what Grupe tweeted about what happened today at the Dome. Look, man, if you walk next to him, he's not wearing a Saints uniform, you would just think he's a water boy. Literally, you'd think he's an equipment manager. He's not that big, but got a big leg. So it's a nice little competition. Will Lutz probably feels that he's being pushed by him, and that's good. That's what you want. You want a guy to wake up and get back to his old form or to a better version of himself. So I think it's Will Lutz's job to lose unless he gets hurt.
You had a chance to walk around the Dome a little bit and see the renovations?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. It looks good, but there's still a ways to go. Whenever you're in the press box and opened up, and like around the the inside of the stadium, it looks good. It really does look good. It's still a year out from being finished, of course, and it's going to be much better. There's a lot of things to work out. I think that game Sunday was an example of, hey, we've still got some things to fix, and whether if it's the food and the walking around and being in kind of tight spots, they're going to figure it out. But it's going to be a nice place. It really is going to be state of the art for stadium whenever it's completely finished in the year.
You headed to L.A.?
Not Dylan's second birthday party this weekend, so I've never gone on that trip. Fletcher usually goes on it. We're not going to go on it this year, but it's birthday number 2, so I'm at home. I'd love to get some of that nice weather over there in the West Coast. Pretty cool time.
Well, happy birthday to Dylan, and obviously you won't have to worry about her interrupting any Omaha trips. So if you miss a preseason game here or there, that's okay, but you'll still be able to go to Omaha because it's her birthday. Won't interfere with that.
Omaha's the best, man. You know how much I love Omaha, but you know what? Birthday number 2 supersedes any preseason action.
There you go. All right, well, we'll talk next week, Sharif. Thanks, man.
All right, hon, anytime.
Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Love our conversations with Sharif each and every Tuesday. Only one order of business left. We got to play some Take It or Leave It. Come back with us.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Football season's quickly approaching, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl. You'll get bonus bets for every victory. You can choose your bonus bets, point spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/1045ESPN. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues and knowledgeable bonus bet that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $50 unless specified otherwise. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody who knows a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Tigers are back on the practice field. We'll have a practice report for you. And the Saints have a night workout before they head to L.A. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we'll close up shop here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Way we do it every day. Some take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. The Mets have promoted former Tiger Paul Gervais to Double-A. Gervais has a big league future. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
He's obviously gotta keep developing that breaking ball. And I can't claim to have watched any of Paul Gervais this year, but he was fastball heavy here in Baton Rouge. But it's an awkward fastball because he's 6'11" and he throws from a 3/4 arm angle, and it does have some ride to it. And like the fastball's gonna play. It's just a matter of can he spot it, and then can he feature a breaking ball off of it. And it appears he's having some success early in his minor league career. He's been promoted to Double-A, which is in some cases the next step from major leagues. A lot of guys go to Triple-A, but sometimes you get a call up. So in Gervais's case, that won't be the case. But he's knocking on the door. So if he can finish strong in Double-A, have a good spring training next year, and maybe break with Triple-A, you're an injury or two from going on up there, doubleheader from going on up there. So that's awesome for him. Thrilled for him. I know there was a second there where he thought he was going to come back to LSU. The Mets swooped in and drafted him. He signed, and looks like he's doing some great things. So congrats to Paul Gervais.
New South Carolina offensive lineman Nick Gargiulo set the record for Five Guys burgers eaten in one sitting at 10. It was broken a few weeks later, however, but 10 burgers in a sitting. Take it or leave it.
Okay. I'm going to leave it.
We talked about this, what food you would do for...
Yeah, so I have some history here. So in college, I was a sophomore, living with a bunch of buddies, and we had a conversation. Yes, there was some alcohol involved on a game day about how many Baconators you could eat from Wendy's. And somebody's like, well, it's like 5's like the max. I was like, I could easily eat 5. I was like, yeah, that's no problem. So we went the rest of the day, went to the game, sleep, wake up the next morning, and they're telling me we're going to go buy you 5 Baconators. You gotta eat the 5 Baconators. I realized that I didn't eat anything the day before. Just drank 600 drinks, of course, as a college kid going to a football game. So they go and buy the 5 Baconators, and they hand me the bag. And I held the bag, and I went, oh, no, this is a terrible idea. The Baconator's got like 2 patties, 8 strips of bacon, 3 strips of cheese, the buns. So I was like, all right. So I sit down at the coffee table there and just start going to work. And I ate 3 and took a few bites of the 4th one and was like, I'm out. I still think I could put a better effort forward than that, like kind of like hungover, having not eaten, and your stomach's like contracted to nothing. But I'm not going to try it anytime soon. And 10, even though Five Guys does the double stack, so maybe these were just single stack burgers, I would imagine. But still, that's
Still
a frightening amount of food. And now I looked it up, he's like 6'6", 330 or something. He went to Yale. He's a transfer in from Yale. You'd think someone from Yale would be smarter than to eat 10 Five Guys burgers.
He probably like figured out that he could do it, like
Genetically, whatever. But he did say that he was going to have to let that guy have it. So we can't rule out Gargiulo, whoever his name is, going back and eating more than 10 Five Guys burgers. That's a lot of burgers.
All right, the Colts named Anthony Richardson the starter after he went 7 of 12 with an interception in the preseason opener. I saw the coach said he saw some progression from him in the game. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. What are we doing here? He was not good in college. He was not good in the preseason opener. He's not good right now. I won't completely write off the fact that Anthony Richardson can be a good NFL quarterback. Like, I'm not scratching that off. He's not now. And they've got Gardner Minshew, who can clearly go out there and play a little bit. I can't rule out, like, tanking at this point. Like, maybe they're just trying to lose.
Just throw him in the fire and see what he does.
I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to turn the ball over and not be very accurate. That's what he's going to do. He did that at Florida. He wasn't good against Vanderbilt last year. How do you think he's going to do against the Chiefs?
I mean, I guess if you look at it, like, they're not going to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew at quarterback, I don't think.
No.
So you might as if you're going to.
But can you, like, wreck him?
I guess.
I mean, he wasn't very good last year. This thing is weird. I mean, everybody's just enamored with the skill set, which is incredible. I full well saw the run he made against LSU when he went 80 yards and broke 100 tackles. But this is suspect in my eyes.
All right, the last one here. The Cubs will handle the hapless White Sox tonight. Take it or leave it.
Oh, Lord. These games make me nervous. It's like the Mets had lost 6 in a row when we went up there. They've sold their whole team. They've quit on the season. And, of course, we lost the series. They've got nothing to play for. Alonso hits 1 million home runs. The White Sox have quit. They had this team that was built to have a sustained 5-6 year window, and it's been a disaster. They traded Berger. They've traded a couple of their relievers. Like, Moncada stinks. They've been terrible this year, but they have nothing to play for, and they just got swept by the Brewers. Of course, they couldn't beat the Brewers, who I need them to beat. Now they're going to come to the north side. They'll probably play free and easy. Who's pitching tonight? I don't even know. The Cubs were off yesterday, so I don't know.
I think Stroman will be back tomorrow.
Yes, I'll tell you this. I will be at Pluckers tonight for sports trivia, and I will watch it, and I will take it that the Cubs will handle the hapless White Sox, who absolutely stink, and I hate the White Sox. Their little brother.
It's going to be Kyle Hendricks for Cubs.
All right, that's good. That's a good start. At least I know Kyle's not going to go up there and just stink it up. Like, he's going to give me something.
Tukey Toussaint.
Oh, Tukey. Well, he does have, like, a live arm, but he's been pretty bad since he left Atlanta. Okay, well, I think the Cubs have a real chance to win that. It's on the north side. It's at Wrigley in the wonderful ballpark place for that stadium, for that city, as opposed to the dump down the street.
Got to keep that ball down, Kyle.
Yes, that would help. That would help. But the weather's probably about to break up there in Chicago.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty nice, actually.
Cooler temperatures here over the next couple of weeks before you get into just a part of the calendar where you just can't ever go to Chicago. But right now, probably very, very nice. So hopefully the Cubs handle the White Sox. Either way, I'll handle sports trivia tonight at 8:30 at Pluckers on Nicholson, so come on by and hang out with us. Fun show. A lot of fun today on this Tuesday. Open up with college football's top 100 players. There will be 10 of them. There will be 10 of them on the field in LSU's season opener. Where those guys rank, you can go back and check that out in the opening of the show. I then ranked LSU's 3 most indispensable players on this roster. Not the best ones, the ones whose loss would compromise the depth chart the most. You can go back and check that out. Glenn West of Go 24/7, always generous with his time. Talked with Glenn about practice and some interviews. They talked with Deuce Chestnut, talked with Garrett Nussmeier, who had some great quotes today. I'm sure Matt will get to some of that on his show a little bit later. I played Uniform Czar, as I now am prone to do. We talked about my Mississippi State and Florida unveiling new uniforms. They did that today, and we talked about that at 1:30. LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon was with us at 2 o'clock. I think the most noteworthy piece of that interview that we had with Coach McMahon today was that Jalen Cook is with the team. He's recovering from a little bit of an injury, and they're proceeding as if he's going to be eligible. Obviously, it's a second transfer. They're going to need a waiver. They are under the assumption they are going to get that, but there was no definitive answer from the NCAA thus far. They're dragging their feet, I guess, trying to get to football at this point. But Coach McMahon talked about their trip down to the Bahamas, talked about some of the guys and their roles on this team, and I enjoyed our conversation. It was our last edition of Meet the Freshmen. Deshaun Womack and Zalance Hurd were our final two freshmen to go through today, two guys that I expect to see on the field for this LSU team. And Sharif Ishak from WDSU was with us at 2:30, as he always is, talking Saints as we reacted to the win over the Chiefs, kind of looked forward to the week in L.A., which Saints will have a night practice tonight, and then they'll head out to L.A. and go through a couple of joint practices with the Chargers. So then we play Take It or Leave It. If you missed any of that, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Every show is right there. Off the Bench, Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, After Further Review, all those on demand at 1045ESPN.com every day. But you can find us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google as well. And as always, we tell you to find our content on YouTube. Trying to get some new subscribers to Hunt on Saints. Go to YouTube, hit the subscribe. You can get all your Saints content right there. Hunt on LSU as well. All LSU football. And it's every day now that we are in the middle of football camp. We'll be back tomorrow. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Hope to see you at Pluckers. If not, same time, same place. Hunt Palmer Show.
When is a taco more than just a taco?